What if I told you that one of the darkest and most ambitious Tomb Raider games was never released? A game where Lara Croft would be hunted, psychologically broken, and forced to question her own sanity. Today, we're talking about Tomb Raider, Ascension, the cancelled chapter in the franchise that almost redefined Lara Croft forever. Tomb Raider Ascension was an early concept developed by Crystal Dynamics after Tomb Raider Underworld. Originally planned as the next main entry in the series, Ascension aimed to take the franchise in a much darker and more mature direction. Unlike previous games, this wasn't about globe-trotting adventures or mythical artifacts. Ascension focused on psychological horror, isolation, and survival. Lara Croft wasn't going to be a confident hero. She was going to be vulnerable, hunted, and mentally pushed to her limits. In its early narrative concept, Tomb Raider Ascension introduced an unusual companion for Lara Croft, a 6-year-old girl named Izumi, a name derived from the Japanese word meaning fountain. Together, Lara and Izumi were meant to explore a remote and mysterious island, a place haunted by ghosts and inhabited by monstrous creatures. The story leaned heavily into mystery and the supernatural. Rather than focusing on a traditional adventure, Ascension's setting was designed to feel isolated, unsettling, and deeply atmospheric, with the island itself playing a central role in the experience. The gameplay direction of Tomb Raider Ascension was planned as survival horror, marking a significant departure from earlier entries in the franchise. Developers reportedly drew inspiration from titles such as Ico, Resident Evil, and Shadow of the Colossus. The emphasis was placed on tension, vulnerability, and atmosphere rather than constant action. Players were meant to feel small and exposed, with combat being more deliberate and situational instead of power-driven. In the original design, Izumi played an active gameplay role. Due to her small size, she could crawl through narrow passages and inaccessible areas, assisting Lara by unlocking paths or interacting with parts of the environment the player could not reach. This created a form of asymmetric gameplay, where Lara and Izumi each had distinct abilities. As development progressed, the player would eventually discover that Izumi possessed a supernatural connection to water, allowing her to manipulate it and interact directly with the island's strange forces. As development evolved, the original concept was gradually simplified. Izumi was first replaced by a monkey, likely to reduce narrative complexity while preserving some companion-based mechanics. Eventually, both the girl and the animal companion were removed entirely. Instead, the focus shifted toward massive, towering monsters that would serve as the game's primary enemies. This change pushed Ascension further into horror territory. Lara Croft herself gained new abilities, including the option to ride horses, fight enemies while mounted, and pick up objects without dismounting, adding a new layer of mobility and interaction. Throughout the different stages of the game, Lara was shown wielding a variety of weapons. These tools reflected both classic Tomb Raider elements and more improvised survival gear, reinforcing the darker and more grounded tone of the project. The confirmed weapons included dual pistols, a sword, a bow, a climbing axe, an improvised flamethrower. Each weapon appeared to be designed with specific situations in mind, rather than encouraging constant combat. When it comes to Lara Croft's visual design, the available concept art tells a very interesting story. At first glance, this version of Lara may remind players of the 2013 reboot, but the differences become clear almost immediately. Ascension's Lara appears slightly older and more experienced. Her posture, facial expressions, and overall presentation suggest someone who has already been through hardship and learned from it. This isn't a naive survivor at the beginning of her journey, but a determined explorer who understands the danger she's facing. At the same time, she still feels human. Concept art often depicts her bruised, exhausted, yet mentally prepared to confront whatever the island throws at her. There's a sense of quiet resolve in her design, a Lara Croft who is afraid but willing to fight through that fear rather than run from it. The monster designs in Tomb Raider Ascension are where the game's horror ambitions truly shine. Based on the concept art, these creatures feel as if they were pulled straight out of a Silent Hill nightmare. Many of the designs show clear inspiration from Japanese folklore and horror aesthetics, blending distorted humanoid shapes with unsettling, unnatural proportions. Limbs are elongated, faces are obscured or twisted, and bodies often appear incomplete or malformed. Combined with the dark setting and survival-focused gameplay, these creatures could have made Ascension the most terrifying entry in Tomb Raider's history. Not just because of how dangerous the monsters were, but because of how deeply unsettling they looked, turning every encounter into a test of nerve rather than skill. Early gameplay footage, shared through the official Tomb Raider YouTube channel, gives us a glimpse of how encounters with these creatures were meant to play out. Combat appears slow, heavy, and deliberate. Rather than fast-paced action, these fights resemble intense boss encounters, where Lara has to carefully manage her positioning, timing, and every single move she makes. Players are constantly forced to watch each enemy movement, study attack patterns, and react in a dark, horror-filled environment. Every strike, dodge, and repositioning decision matters, creating a tension that keeps the player on edge throughout the encounter. If fully realized, Ascension's combat could have offered a uniquely tense and punishing experience within the Tomb Raider series. So, why was Tomb Raider Ascension never released? As development progressed, it became clear that the project wasn't meeting expectations. Either the studio, the publisher, or both ultimately failed to see the long-term potential of the game in its current form. The horror-focused direction was considered a significant risk, especially for a franchise that was already struggling to define its identity at the time. Rather than continuing down an uncertain path, the decision was made to start over. Ascension was quietly shelved, and development shifted toward a complete reimagining of the series, a fresh beginning that would later become known as Tomb Raider 2013. Many of Ascension's concepts lived on in the 2013 Tomb Raider reboot. The vulnerable Lara, the survival elements, the darker tone. While Ascension itself never saw the light of day, it laid the groundwork for the modern Tomb Raider trilogy. In a way, the game that never released still changed the franchise forever. Tomb Raider Ascension remains one of gaming's most fascinating what-ifs. A reminder that sometimes the most interesting stories are the ones we never get to play. If you enjoyed this deep dive, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more gaming mysteries. Thanks for watching.